Pick the Aksum if you want to play an economic game. The golden resources by itself is already pretty decent, and the special ships are going to help you easily get out your trade routes. Xerxes the Achaemenid, so not the King of Kings, but the Achaemenid version, is a natural fit for this civilization as he's also all about trade routes. Egypt is all about building wonders and then combining those wonders with the special buildings to get pretty awesome yields out of those. The obvious leader to play them with is, unsurprisingly, Hatshepsut, as he also gets bonuses from building on navigable rivers on top of those already being granted by Egypt itself. Makes you a bit of a one-trick pony, but you know, who cares if you have all the wonders. Greece is a pretty solid pick for your first few games. You get a massive bonus to influence, helping you with getting those city-states under your control or making sure your friends don't harm you, and the Parthenon makes that even better. The hoplites will also help to ensure that anyone who doesn't like your meddling leaves you alone, and therefore Machiavelli is the natural pick for Greece, since he piles on even more influence bonuses, although you might also consider Tecumseh for an alternative as well if you're going for all those city-states. The Han are excellent for expanding rapidly, and their unique ranged unit is pretty solid for defending those lands, as your neighbors probably won't appreciate you claiming all their territory. Other than that, this ancient civ isn't that exciting or interesting per se, but it doesn't mean it's not strong, especially if you combine it with Confucius, who will make your cities grow even faster. The Khmer are a civilization you can pick. I'll be honest, this is one of my least favorite picks because the additional yields on river districts isn't that bad, but it's kinda bland. It also holds for the unique buildings and units. You can probably make them work with pretty much any leader if you want to, but you'll probably have better options instead. The Maurya are a fun pick to combine with any leader that benefits from happiness, like you say Rizal or Himiko. These people have so many happiness bonuses that the celebrations might just never end. If you can put those bonuses to good use, that can snowball nicely. It also works quite well with any type of civilization that likes the civics, because you will be able to unlock mysticism a lot faster and get that pantheon going even better, even stronger, even quicker. I think you'll find that the Mayans aren't that easy to play, but if you want a strong science game and can leverage their special building, it makes for a nice combination with a science-focused leader. Now, this might be a little bit of an odd choice, but I actually think Throne Track might be the best fit for this civilization, as her tropical bonuses fit nicely with the vegetation bonuses of the Mayans. The Missisipians are one of my favorite all-around civilizations so far. Food adjacency for resources is always going to be useful in the early game, the range units are useful for offense and defense, and the improved trading units aren't bad either. As a result, this civilization works with pretty much any leader that you would want to do it, and allows for a lot of different strategies to be employed. Persia is a solid pick if you plan on waging wars early. The Immortals heal themselves whenever killing something, and they are pretty solid at doing exactly that out of the gate already. The unique army commander makes that even more deadly on top of that. It's a bit of a single-minded civilization, but combine it with a leader that wants to attack anyway, like Xerxes, King of Kings, and your neighbors are going to be extremely worried when they find out that you're next to them. Last but not least, Rome. The bonuses here are a little bit of everything, so another all-round and thus flexible civilization, but you haven't really played Civilization unless you played with Rome and August as your leader. However, if you want to be a little bit more specialized, go with Lafayette. He gets bonuses for assigned traditions to your policies, and so do your legions when playing Rome. So this is going to make your legions extremely strong in the early game and allow you to take over the world if you want to. Moving on to the exploration age, it's important to keep in mind that you might not be able to pick just any civilization that you would want, because if you are coming from the ancient age, whatever you do there will actually limit what you can pick in the next age. If you are starting in the exploration age, of course you can pick whatever you want, so just keep that in mind. Abbasid seems to be kind of designed to match with Confucius. Every time you create a specialist, which is something Confucius wants to be actively doing anyway, you're going to get a gold bonus, and well, just combining those two makes a lot of sense, especially considering Confucius makes your specialist generate additional science, and you can buff that up even further with the unique quarter that you can build as the Abbasid as well. The Chola aren't the most flashy pick, I think, in the exploration age, but they go well with pretty much any economic-focused leader like Amina or Xerxes the Achaemenid. You will be very good at establishing a lot of trade routes, so if you have anything that can benefit from that, this civilization is a decent, although not necessarily exciting pick. The Hawaiians, I think, are pretty decent as long as you're on the coast and you're expanding on the coast as well, which is something you're going to be doing during the exploration age anyway, so I think this is a pretty safe pick whatever you're playing. So I don't necessarily think you need to combine this with a specific leader. You just want to make sure you're actually going to be on the coast and exploring those other continents in this age. The Incans, on the other hand, aren't a necessarily exciting pick. They're pretty all-round, so they're not bad. They just need to rely on a lot of mountain terrain to be around. Well, because of that reason, if you're playing Pachacuti anyway, he also relies on those same mountains, so you might as well go all in on that. The Majapahit are pretty much the strongest culture/happiness civilization in this era, so that means that they are a natural fit for any leader that does the same thing. For example, Himiko High Shaman is the obvious choice here. You also get the additional bonus to Specialist, which also means that you could go for Confucius with this particular civilization as well, because he wants to have a lot of Specialists, so getting more of them might not be the worst thing to pick. The Ming, on the other hand, are a pretty interesting choice. So you get 50% extra science in your capital, but you do not want to use social policies. You can use traditions, however, so that makes, for example, Lafayette a pretty good choice to go along with the Ming, because he only cares about having traditions as well. There's other leaders that could work with this as long as you're just paying attention to the social policies. For example, if you're playing August, that also buffs your capital quite a bit, then combining that with the Ming might be a pretty good choice as well. If you'd rather just leave the settling of distant lands over to the enemy and then just conquer their settlements instead, then Mongolia is the way you want to go. You are going to get pretty strong cavalry units whenever you capture an opposing settlement, and of course then, for example, Charlemagne or any kind of like aggressive type of leader is going to be a pretty good fit with that. Charlemagne in particular is of course going to be all about cavalry units anyway, so if you're going to get even more of those, then you might as well make sure that you combine those two strengths together. Long story short, if you're going to be fighting in the exploration age, Mongolia is probably the place to be. And then we get to the Normans. These kind of feel like a worse version of the Majapahit because they get similar buildings, but generally speaking, I think these are slightly less strong. They also get similar types of bonuses for units and things like that. All in all, I'm not a huge fan of these compared to the alternatives. The Shawnee are the exploration age version of Egypt, basically caring about navigable rivers and boosting the food production there. Other than that, they don't have that much going. There's a lot of food production in there, so this is really about expanding your empire on all focused around rivers, and navigable rivers to be exact. So that makes them a natural fit for Hatshepsut, but other than that, you kind of want to be exploring the other side of the map in this age, so I'm not entirely sure this is the most optimal pick, but if you do have several settlements around those navigable rivers, you can get some pretty instant benefit out of picking this at the start of the exploration age. However, if you are in that situation, you might as well pick the Songhai, because they also care about those navigable rivers, but I do think, generally speaking, these bonuses are better. They're massively economically focused though, so if that's not what you're trying to do, then this might not be the obvious pick, but if it is, you are going to get very rich very quickly by picking this, if you have those navigable rivers to count on. Unsurprisingly, Spain is a pretty solid pick for the exploration age, and that makes historic sense as well. They are pretty all-round, so that makes them a safe pick as well, and it just makes sure that you can get some additional cities going earlier compared to some of the competitors. The units you get are pretty strong, the buildings you get are pretty nice. It is worth noting that this is all about exploration, and again, I want to emphasize this, that's what you should be doing anyway during this phase, but not every civilization is kind of geared towards that. But you do want to have a couple of cities on the coast to benefit from these special buildings. If you do have a couple of those, then these are going to be pretty strong, and you can make them even stronger by building some plazas once you have actually settled the distant lands. So, all in all, if you're not sure what you are going to pick for the exploration age, you just want a safe pick, go with Spain, you can't go wrong with them. For the modern age, it becomes a little bit different because you're near the end of the game and you want to highly specialize in whatever end game win condition you're trying to strive for. For example, if you're planning on winning through conquest, you probably want to pick Buganda or Persia. If you want to get rich and get a lot of wins like that, then the Mughals are going to be great because 75% gold from all sources is just insane. If you are going for a cultural victory, Mexico is probably the way to go because you get a massive amount of culture from the revolution effects, as well as some very strong specific buildings for this civilization as well. But for now, if you have them available, I think the best pick in the modern age is probably going to be the king. At least, not necessarily best pick, but at least the most all-round pick. Depending on what type of win condition you want to go for, you can make the king work for you. You are going to get a bonus to pretty much everything if you are doing some trading. So don't try to wage war on the entire world if you're going to go for this. But other than that, you have pretty insane bonuses, honestly, and the minus to science can be compensated for quite easily by the special building that you get. So all in all, this is a pretty strong contender for the most all-around general good pick for the modern age. I do want to make a special call out for the combination of Benjamin Franklin and America in the modern age, because that's just insane. Benjamin Franklin makes production buildings a lot better, and both of the American unique buildings are production based. You're going to get additional science on that by using Benjamin Franklin, and getting that science means that you can get to the victory condition that allows you to make a space flight. You're going to need a lot of science for that, and you're going to need a lot of production for that, which is exactly what America is doing. So if that is the way you want to go and you can pick America, then I would recommend you do so. So again, a bit of an overload of information, but I hope it helps you to get started and pick the civilizations that fit your strategy the best. If you found it useful, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more content. And if you're still here, you are of course awesome, and I do hope to catch you in the next one.